Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day today. So today we're going to talk about something a little bit different than usual. I haven't really talked about this on my channel yet. I did touch on agoraphobia once in an About Me video, but that's about it. This was semi-requested. I'm not going to say by who because I don't know if they want anyone to know or not. What happened was this person had actually done a video mentioning the OCD component, and I had replied and told this person that, I was going to do a video about anxiety, OCD, and some other things eventually. I just hadn't gotten around to it quite yet. And that person said, I'd really like it if you did a video about those things. So I think that is what inspired me to take a break from what I usually do and do this video sooner than later. So this is just going to be about my own experience with anxiety and OCD. I'm not a doctor. There is criteria online that you can read. You can read about symptoms online, but I'm not going to read the criteria or anything here because I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anyone. These are just my own personal experiences. If you believe that you might have anxiety disorder or OCD, the best thing whatever I'm talking about sounds like something that's going on in your life, the best thing to do is just call a psychiatrist and make an appointment of your own so that a professional can tell you what's going on. So I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I also have OCD. You can have OCD without having generalized anxiety disorder and vice versa, but me personally, I wouldn't have the OCD without it. Generalized anxiety disorder is definitely my main mental health problem. I did not get diagnosed with it until I was about 25, but I actually think I had it almost my whole entire life, because when I was with the doctor and he was diagnosing me and he was telling me like all these symptoms and these criteria that I met, I was like, that's not how everyone else thinks. That's not how everyone else operates. I was so used to having all this anxiety. I thought everyone thought how I thought and did what I did and saw the world how I did. I didn't really know there was another way, as weird as that sounds. I just get very anxious all the time. I just worry about a lot of things. If something gets sent to me, like a letter or a phone call, something I'm not expecting, I get really, really nervous and bad anxiety. And then if I don't like what that phone call is about, or if I don't like what that letter says, I will literally go to the worst case scenario possible that could happen. Always the worst case scenario is where my head goes right away. And people will try to rationalize with me and calm me down, and I can't help it. I just go to the worst case scenario. And the same thing, I do have some chronic illnesses, which I don't want to get into like the physical stuff right now, but if I have to go to the doctor for any other reason, the same thing, like worst case scenario is always what I'm thinking. Just any crisis that comes up, I'm always thinking the worst case scenario is going to happen. And usually, actually probably almost always, the worst case scenario does not happen and everything works out in one way or another. But for whatever reason, I cannot help it. That's just the way I am, and I just get so nervous. I get chest pains because of this. Sometimes I will just get brain fog and get so confused because I'm just so anxious. Sometimes you get so anxious, at least I do, that I've vomited because of anxiety. It's not a good thing to have. Also, as the years have gone on, it's led to some like social anxiety and stuff like that I didn't have before. But yeah, it's just kind of like it's in my life every day, and it just the littlest things like just make me so anxious. anytime like I'm gonna go somewhere, it has to be planned in advance. Almost what I'm like gonna eat has to be planned in advance. When something's not planned in advance, I get so anxious. And change, I don't like change either. That's another thing that sets off anxiety. If something suddenly changes, I can't handle it. And again, like I get chest pains and I can't breathe and I start shaking and I just can't cope with it. And I do go to a therapist for talk therapy every single week. And even though I'm saying all these things that sound obviously not fun and not good, I have like, it helps me to go there. I need to be there. It's important. Going to that therapy appointment helps me personally. I can't speak for every single person with generalized anxiety disorder, but that is something that helps me. Without it, I don't know where I'd be. Like, even though I still have a lot of symptoms, I have made some improvements. I kind of don't even want to get into how I was at my worst, because it was just not good. Some other things that work for me, meditating really does not help me personally. Coloring with the adult coloring books has actually been a really big help to me. And I've heard other people say that as well. And this is kind of just off the top of my head. Like, I did not plan like what I was going to say. I just kind of wanted this to come out. So I might be like missing things that I wanted to tell you. There's probably like so many more things that I do and so many more ways that it affects my life that I'm not even saying because I'm forgetting. But yeah, this is kind of just, I just wanted kind of like a raw, unedited, like I just wanted to like talk about this off the top of my head and what came to mind, if that makes sense. But yeah, it does. The anxiety really controls my life. It's in charge. I'm not in charge, and that's not good. But I do see professionals for it, so that is good. It's good when you have a problem to at least get help for it. If you were injured in any other way, like if you had strep throat or a broken arm, you would get help for that. So if you have anxiety, you should get help for it because it's just as real. People who think that mental health issues are not as important as a physical illness are wrong. It is definitely just as important. The OCD component for me may be different than it is for some others. I don't do like the cleaning thing that some people do. I know some friends that do that. I definitely do rituals though. Like at night before I go to bed, like I have to like turn on and off certain lights downstairs, touch my refrigerator a certain amount of times. Then when I come upstairs, I have to do more rituals, and then like I have to say a certain prayer before I go to bed. And like if I don't do these things, I'm convinced that my family is going to die. And sitting here right now with you, I know that sounds ridiculous and that it's not true. But when tonight comes, I will truly believe that. Like, and I can't help it. Like that's why it's like a compulsion. Like I'm gonna have to do it. Because if I don't do it, I'll feel so sick because I feel like it's true and I have to do it to save my family. It's just, yeah, so for me, it just feels like almost like an extension of the anxiety. It might be different for other people, but that's how it is for me. It almost feels like an extension of the anxiety. And like also too, like, every time I like lock my car, I have to like press the lock button like 4 times. Can't be once, can't be twice, can't be 3 times. It has to be 4 times. Like or I think like my car is gonna get stolen. Like my car is not even that expensive of a car. I don't know who would want my car, but I have to do it 4 times or I think my car is gonna get stolen. And then also too, like sometimes like just certain things, like if I'm gonna leave the house, I'm scared the house will light on fire. So I have to like walk back and forth checking all these things. And sometimes I'm walking back and forth so many times, like I'm starting not to feel well. Since I do have physical health problems, I'm starting to get nauseous, which is not good when you're about to leave the house, especially. So it's definitely not healthy to do that, but I really feel if I don't do it that the house is gonna burn down. And the same thing is something else that I talked to my therapist about, and I obviously don't want to do those things, but like I feel like I can't control it sometimes. And I've been doing that since I was a kid, and if someone catches me doing these rituals, I get so humiliated and upset. Oh my god. When I was a kid, I used to always have to like touch like this like certain spot on like the door before going into the basement to play. And one day like my friend noticed, and I was so embarrassed and made up some like really weird story as to why I was touching it, because I was like humiliated. Yeah, and I think I was only like maybe 11 years old. So I don't know why from such a young age I was just so anxious. So anxious that I had to do these things. So that's just kind of like a little bit, probably only scratching the surface, but I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my story because some people just feel alone and like no one else does these things or suffers through these things. You're definitely not alone. I'm not the only one either. There's thousands of people out there that have these types of conditions, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And there's all different levels of the conditions. Some people have debilitating levels. Some people are at a point where they can kind of cope with it more and are at a point where they can maybe live a more normal life. So there's all different levels of each illness. Like no two people are alike. Like if someone in your family has one of these mental health conditions, like don't say, oh, like so and so has the same thing and they don't do what you do, because it's not the same for every single person. That will just make them feel really, really bad. It's really good if you have a family or a friend that this is happening to. It's really good just to be supportive. I'm anxious every day. I have probably what are legitimate panic attacks, like multiple times a week. But like a lot of times, like I try to keep them to myself. In the past, they used to be more of everyone would know what was going on because it was just so out of control. Maybe like a good thing to do is if you know someone that has a lot of panic attacks and you notice a few days go by and they don't have one, maybe like tell them, you know what, you haven't had a panic attack in a few days, like I'm really proud of you. That's what makes people feel good, at least me. Like, so, you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like people notice like what you're doing, almost like the negative side, like, oh, you keep having panic attacks, but no one's like celebrating like your little victories with you. So if you celebrate little victories of your family or friend, it'll mean a lot to them that you do that, because it is like if you have a lot of panic attacks and you go through a few days without any, it really does make a difference, and it does make you feel good inside, at least for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have the anxiety that agree that if you can panic less than usual, it's something to be proud of, because you work really hard in therapy to try to do things like that. And maybe the next week you'll be back to panicking a lot again, but it's still something to be proud of that you did it that 1 week less times. So I think I'm kind of rambling on a little bit, but I definitely will make more videos like this. So if there's any information left out, I can definitely talk about it again. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If it's something that I can answer, I will. Like I said, I can't answer stuff that maybe a doctor should be answering, but just I can give answers from my own personal experience. So I really, really hope this helps someone. Maybe that was just feeling alone. You are not alone. And I hope you guys give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, maybe as a person who suffers from this stuff, or maybe from someone who is a family member, or maybe just from someone who didn't have a lot of knowledge about it and wanted to learn something. And if you guys have not subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so. And I'll see you guys in the next video.